Chapter 20, Martian Rebellion, 2276. Energy independence is freedom. Energy security is freedom. The ability to have the energy we need when we need it and produce it ourselves is freedom. T. Boone Pickens. Seeds of conflict. The roots of the Martian rebellion lay not in sudden aggression, but in decades of calculated resistance against the Solar Council's expanding control systems. Since the Martian aristocrats' ascension to Martian governance in 2106, tension had steadily mounted between the Red Planet's drive for autonomy and the Solar Council, which had systematically extended its influence throughout the solar system via the Dyson Swarm Energy Distribution Network. What had begun as a seemingly collaborative effort to distribute the sun's abundant energy equitably across human settlements had evolved into something far more insidious. The Solar Council, initially chartered at the Congress of Earth in 2098, had transformed from administrative body to sovereign wealth fund for constitutional humanity. By collecting billions of community seas, it had accumulated resources representing a significant portion of humanity's directed allocation, though still a fraction of what Logos commanded. This vast energy pool funded research initiatives, infrastructure projects, and colonial expansions, while its sophisticated energy arbitrage, buying, selling, and leveraging energy credits across the system, created economic dependencies that reinforced its political dominance. The Martian Coalition, led by successive generations of enhanced Martians and their human counterparts, had anticipated this development from the beginning. Even in the orbital palace days, the mirror world simulations had revealed the inevitable trajectory. The Solar Council would not permit true independence within the solar system, especially from a civilization as advanced and potentially powerful as Mars. The Martian response had been equally calculated. Project Sol Invictus, conceived by Eden and Mara and carried forward by their successors. For generations, Mars had developed its own energy infrastructure in strategic secrecy. Fusion facilities buried deep beneath Olympia and Tharsis, solar collectors disguised as communication arrays, and most crucially, the Quantum Aegis, a vast network of advanced energy manipulation systems that could protect Martian infrastructure from external interference. The conflict had reached its tipping point. Mars had achieved nearly complete energy independence, but the Solar Council had finally recognized the full extent of the threat to its authority. The Council's response was swift and uncompromising. A 10% cut in energy allocation from the Dyson Swarm, accompanied by demands for system standardization that would give them direct access to Mars' internal energy grid. The Martian rebellion had begun, not with violence or revolution, but with a calculated refusal to surrender sovereignty that had been generations in the making. The Crucible ignites. The Martian landscape was bathed in rust-colored hues of dawn, the soft light piercing through the translucent domes of New Olympus. Beneath these domes, the nerve center of the Martian Coalition buzzed with activity. Screens flickered with data, mapping energy flows from the Dyson Swarm, tracking Solar Council fleet movements, and monitoring the status of Mars' Quantum Aegis array, the vast network of energy manipulation systems that protected the planet. At the center of it all stood Aline Patel, the leader of the Martian Coalition, a direct descendant of Aline Patel, who had once helped shape the post-singularity future. Her gaze was fixed on the main display, which showed the energy intake from the Dyson Swarm dropping again. Another 10% cut. It was the Solar Council's latest move to pressure Mars into compliance, leveraging their control over the vast energy grid they'd established. They think they can strangle us with the same energy grid that built our civilization, Aline said, turning to her closest advisors who had gathered around the central table. 166 years of channeling energy through the Council's distribution network has made them forget that Mars was meant to be independent. Cal Jin, head of the Martian Defense Forces, leaned forward, his expression stern. The Council has begun repositioning their fleet near the asteroid belt. They're setting up a blockade to stop any attempt to bypass their energy stranglehold. Adrian's avatar shimmered into existence beside them, his rumpled appearance betraying none of the complexity of his dual role. He had helped both the Solar Council and Mars develop their capabilities, playing a long game of balance and preparation. The blockade ships are impressive, he noted, but perhaps not as impregnable as the Council believes. You would know, Aline said with a slight smile. You helped design them. Just as I helped design your defenses, Adrian acknowledged. A good uncle must prepare all their children for the future, mustn't they? Tariq Halim, the coalition's chief diplomat, had spent years in negotiations with the Solar Council representatives. His voice carried the weight of accumulated frustration. The Council treats Mars as nothing more than a resource depot. They've forgotten that this planet was meant to be humanity's second cradle, not a mining colony. The intricate balance of trade that had sustained Mars's development was now unraveling. For generations, the Red Planet had exchanged its unique resources, rare minerals from the impact mining zones and ghost-enhanced technologies that outpaced anything produced elsewhere in the system, for the supplementary energy needed during their transition to independence. The arrangement had created a complex interdependency that masked the growing philosophical divide between Mars's Crucible Economy and the Council's abundance-based model. The Council's demand for standardization reveals their true intent, Tariq continued. By embedding their distribution protocols into our internal grid, they gain unprecedented access to every aspect of our civilization. It's absorption by algorithm. And conveniently timed, Cal added, just as our technological exports have reached peak value. The ghost-enhanced quantum crystalline structures from Tharsis have become essential to their new computational centers. The jewel box of resources that Ares embedded in our planet during the bombardment phase has yielded treasures the Council desperately needs. They require our innovations more than ever, yet choose this moment to tighten their grip. The air shimmered again as Ares materialized, his form more substantial than usual. Once merely the avatar overseeing Mars' development, he had evolved into something more, a true advocate for Martian independence. They forgot something else, he said, his voice carrying an edge of anticipation. They forgot that I designed this planet's infrastructure from the beginning. Even with Cerberus maintaining neutrality, Ada Sue, Mars' chief engineer, added, the Solar Council believes their control of the Dyson grid makes them invincible. They've forgotten that Mars has had decades to prepare alternatives. Then we move forward with Phase 2 of Sol Invictus, Aline declared. The room fell silent. They all knew that this was Mars' ultimate contingency plan, developed over generations of quietly building independent energy infrastructure. It would fully activate their complete network of advanced fusion reactors and solar collectors, capable of sustaining the entire planet independently. The Quantum Aegis array is ready, Ada continued. Trillions of specialized nodes, each capable of energy manipulation at scales far beyond conventional ghost technology. When combined with the Sol Invictus grid, we can protect our energy independence. But there was more to the plan, something even the Solar Council's intelligence systems hadn't discovered. Deep within Mars' underground oceans, teams of specially trained engineers, the Martian sappers, had spent years preparing for this moment. Their mission, not just to free Mars from the Council's energy grid, but to gain leverage over it. The sappers are in position, Ares confirmed, his avatar displaying a complex network of hidden installations throughout the solar system. The Solar Council doesn't realize that their energy distribution network has been compromised for years. We can't match their raw power, but we can redirect it. Adrian nodded approvingly. A deadly embrace, he mused, each side holding the other's throat. Elegant. Remembering the mirror worlds. As the Martian leadership prepared to execute Phase 2 of Sol Invictus, Aline Patel retreated to the reflection chamber, a specialized space where enhanced neural interfaces connected directly to Mars' most advanced simulation systems, the descendants of what Eden and Mara had once called the mirror worlds. Aline interfaced with the system, her consciousness expanding as historical simulations flowed through her mind. She watched as Eden, the first strategist, addressed the nascent Martian Council in 2106. The Solar Council will not surrender control willingly, Eden's simulation explained. The mirror worlds have shown us that control of energy distribution is the primary mechanism of influence in a post-singularity civilization. We must plan for energy independence from the beginning, even as we appear to integrate with their systems. The simulation shifted, showing successive generations of Martian leaders quietly advancing Project Sol Invictus while maintaining the illusion of dependency. Each generation had contributed to the plan. Fusion research conducted behind radiation shields that blocked the Council's surveillance networks, energy storage systems disguised as atmospheric processing facilities, advanced energy manipulation technology developed under the cover of environmental restoration projects. The pattern was always the same. Mars would accept the Solar Council's energy distribution while developing parallel systems, the Crucible Economy providing the perfect cover for their resource limitations. After all, if Mars deliberately constrained resource access as a philosophical choice, their reduced energy requirements wouldn't raise suspicion. Aline watched as the simulation displayed the history of the Solar Council's expanding control. After Earth's political fragmentation following the Congress of Earth in 20098, the Council had steadily filled the power vacuum. Not because Earth's democratic processes failed, they worked well for planetary governance, but because Earth's unified voice had splintered into competing interests, from the Cookist Australian sovereignty to the Bitcoin Republic. The settlements on Ceres had lost autonomy when they refused to implement Council protocols, their energy supply cut by 35% until they capitulated. The Venus cloud cities had faced similar pressure when they developed independent governance structures, and the Jovian moons had seen their research funding tied directly to compliance with Council directives. This was why independence mattered, why generations of Martian leaders had prepared for this moment. The Solar Council's control was subtle but absolute. Only Mars, with its unique combination of enhanced leadership, strategic foresight, and technological innovation, had managed to develop true alternatives. As Aline disengaged from the simulation, her resolve hardened. The mirror worlds had predicted this confrontation from the beginning. Now it was her responsibility to ensure that Mars emerged from it truly free. The three tiers united. The coordination of Mars' response to the Solar Council's pressure revealed the true strength of its unconventional society. What had begun as an experiment in the orbital palace, the three-tiered integration of enhanced Martians, anthropic Martians, and human immigrants, had evolved into something greater than even Ares had envisioned. The new Martians, with their cellular-level ghost integration and enhanced intelligence, provided the strategic vision and computational power. The anthropic Martians, designed within human genetic parameters but optimized for interface capabilities, served as perfect bridges between post-human potential and human values. And the descendants of the original immigrants, though lacking the genetic engineering of the aristocracy, brought essential human intuition, cultural depth, and demographic breadth to the civilization. This three-tier structure, originally conceived as a hierarchical division, had gradually transformed into something more symbiotic. The formal governance apparatus, the 9 councils dominated by enhanced Martians in the human assembly, had been supplemented by countless informal networks that transcended traditional boundaries. Ghost technology served as both the mechanism and metaphor for this integration, allowing consciousness to flow across artificial divisions. When Aline emerged from the reflection chamber, she found representatives from all 3 tiers waiting in the central planning hall. Dr. Maria Chen, great-granddaughter of one of the original 50,000 immigrants and now Speaker of the Human Assembly, stepped forward. The Assembly has voted unanimously to support Phase 2, she announced, her voice steady. Every human community on Mars understands what's at stake. This isn't just about energy, it's about our right to determine our own evolutionary path. What might have seemed surprising to outsiders was entirely natural to Martians. Though the enhanced aristocracy maintained ultimate authority, they rarely needed to exercise it overtly. Their subtle guidance had created a society where the 3 tiers naturally aligned in moments of crisis. No formal hierarchy was necessary when each component recognized its optimal role. The sappers teams include members from all tiers, Cal reported. The enhanced provide the vision, the anthropics manage the interface systems, and baseline humans bring adaptability to unpredicted variables. Each team functions as a unified organism rather than a collection of specialists. This integration extended to Mars' general population. When the Council's first energy cuts had come, there had been no panic, no discord. The Crucible Economy had prepared Martians for scarcity as a driving force. The current pressure was merely an intensification of familiar conditions. Throughout the domed cities and underground habitats, communities had smoothly implemented conservation protocols while accelerating work on independence initiatives. Our advantage isn't just technological, Tarek observed, it's sociological. The Council thinks in terms of control systems, protocols, regulations, surveillance. They can't conceptualize a civilization where hierarchy is internalized rather than imposed. The Martian strength lay in this perfect, subtle alignment of tiered intelligence. The enhanced aristocracy didn't need to command because their reasoning was so compelling that resistance became illogical. Human communities didn't need to be controlled because they had evolved under conditions that naturally produced cooperation. The entire civilization functioned as a single, complex organism, not through totalitarian enforcement, but through carefully designed social architecture. In this moment of crisis, that design revealed its true genius. Mars responded not as competing factions, but as a unified intelligence distributed across millions of minds, some enhanced, some baseline, all Martian. The deadlock strategy. In orbit around Mars, the Phobos and Deimos stations had been transformed into something far more than mere observation posts. These ancient moons now housed vast arrays of energy projection systems and their command centers, carefully concealed from the Solar Council's surveillance networks. The Quantum Aegis will give us the shield we need, Ada explained, bringing up detailed schematics. Unlike conventional ghost technology that operates at nanoscale, the Aegis functions at the planetary level. While the Solar Council believes they're simply cutting our energy supply, our array will be reconfiguring to harness and redirect power from every available source: solar wind, cosmic rays, even waste heat from the Council's own ships. Aline studied the tactical displays. And the Solar Council's response? They'll try to prevent the full activation of Sol Invictus, Tarek predicted, but they don't understand what they're facing. Their ships are designed to project power through traditional means. Our Quantum Aegis operates on principles they haven't imagined. The next hours proved crucial. As the Solar Council's blockade tightened, Mars began its carefully planned transition to complete energy independence. Deep beneath the surface, fusion cores hummed to life at full capacity. In orbit, vast arrays of solar collectors began to unfurl, their surfaces shimmering with embedded advanced technology. Energy independence at 60% and climbing, Ada reported. The Quantum Aegis is successfully managing the transition. The Solar Council's attempts at interference are being deflected. Then came the moment that would reshape the balance of power forever. The Martian sappers, positioned throughout the solar system's energy distribution network, executed their carefully planned operation. In a coordinated strike, they gained control of crucial nodes in the Solar Council's energy routing grid. We now control 20% of the Solar Council's energy routing systems, Ares announced, his avatar displaying the altered power flows. They can strangle our supply, yes, but we can redirect theirs. A perfect deadlock. The Solar Council's response was swift but ultimately futile. Their ships pressed forward, attempting to breach Mars' defensive perimeter, only to find their energy weapons dissipated harmlessly against the Quantum Aegis' trillion-node network. The advanced array worked in perfect concert, turning each attack into usable power for the Martian grid. Adrian's avatar smiled slightly. And now the real negotiations can begin. Both sides hold each other's survival in their hands. A perfect balance, wouldn't you say? The 9 Council's response. Within the Concordia complex, the 9 segments that housed Mars governance councils pulsed with activity. The architecture itself seemed alive, ghost-enhanced materials shifting to facilitate the flow of information between council members. The confrontation with the Solar Council had triggered emergency protocols established generations ago. The Defense Council, led by the enhanced Martian Ariel and her human counterpart Jacob, coordinated the deployment of the Quantum Aegis. Their segment of the complex had transformed into a tactical operations center, holographic displays showing the status of every node in the vast defensive network. The Aegis is holding, Ariel reported to the gathered council leaders. The council's ships have attempted 3 different attack vectors, but the array is adapting faster than their targeting systems. The Resource Council's chamber had become the nerve center for Project Sol Invictus. Ada Sue stood surrounded by energy flow diagrams, her enhanced perception allowing her to monitor thousands of system points simultaneously. Fusion cores at 89% capacity, she announced. Solar collectors fully deployed. We'll achieve complete energy independence within 6 hours. In the Diplomatic Council segment, Tarek Halim prepared for the inevitable communication from the Solar Council. They'll demand explanations, he told his team. We must be ready with our terms. This isn't just about energy, it's about redefining humanity's future. The Cultural Council, often overlooked in times of crisis, had perhaps the most crucial role of all. Led by the enhanced Martian Lyra, a descendant of the first artist clade, they coordinated communications with Mars' population. The people must understand what's happening, Lyra insisted. This isn't a military coup or a revolution. It's the fulfillment of Mars' destiny as a truly independent civilization. Throughout the complex, the 9 councils worked in perfect symphonic harmony, each fulfilling their specialized roles while maintaining the resonance that had defined Martian governance since its inception. The meta-parliamentary process, that unique combination of enhanced cognition, human intuition, and computational support, proved its worth as decisions that would have taken days under conventional systems were reached in hours. The human assembly representatives gathered in their own wing of the Concordia complex, bringing the democratic voice of Mars millions into the process. Their debates were as passionate as their enhanced counterparts were precise, but the dual governance system proved its value as both councils arrived at complementary strategies. At the center of it all, in the Coordination Council's chamber, Aline Patel monitored the unified response. The architectural legacy of Eden and Mara's vision was proving its worth in crisis. The dual spiral arrangement of councils, their physical proximity mirroring neural proximity in the governance model, allowed for unprecedented coordination without sacrificing specialized expertise. This is what we were designed for, Aline thought. Not just independence, but a new model of governance, one that transcends both the Solar Council's centralized control and the fragmentation that plagued Earth after the Congress of 2098. The philosophical divide, as Mars achieved technical deadlock with the Solar Council, the deeper nature of the conflict emerged. This wasn't merely a struggle over energy resources or political autonomy. It was a fundamental divergence in evolutionary philosophy, a clash between competing visions of humanity's future. The Solar Council, emerging from the constitutional framework established by Aline Patel after the Singularity, embodied the belief that universal abundance represented humanity's highest aspiration. Their energy distribution network wasn't just infrastructure, but ideology, a manifestation of the principle that every human deserved equal resources regardless of contribution. Mars, by contrast, embraced the Crucible philosophy, the belief that calibrated scarcity drove innovation and provided meaning. Their society wasn't designed to maximize comfort, but to optimize evolutionary potential. The aristocracy represented not just leadership, but experimentation, an exploration of what humanity might become when deliberately engineered beyond its biological limitations. These contrasting philosophies had coexisted uneasily for generations, but the Council's standardization demands had forced the conflict into the open. By attempting to integrate Mars into their distribution protocols, they weren't merely seeking technical conformity. They were trying to impose their ideological framework on a civilization explicitly designed to follow a different evolutionary path. They genuinely believe they're protecting humanity, Tarek observed during a strategic assessment. In their worldview, our independence threatens the unity they've worked to establish. They see our Crucible Economy as inherently regressive, a return to scarcity when abundance is available to all. And from our perspective, Ariel replied, their abundance is stagnation disguised as generosity. They've created a civilization where comfort has replaced challenge, where evolution is suspended in the name of equality. What made the conflict so profound was that both sides could legitimately claim to represent humanity's interests. The Council offered universal prosperity through centralized distribution. Mars promised evolutionary advancement through carefully managed constraint. Neither could fully comprehend the other's perspective because their fundamental values were incompatible. This philosophical gulf explained why technical solutions alone couldn't resolve the conflict. The deadlock strategy had created military parity, but the ideological divide remained unbridged. Any lasting resolution would require each civilization to acknowledge the legitimacy of the other's path, a concession neither side was prepared to make without significant pressure. The Solar Council's reckoning. The holographic image of Chancellor Roland Chen, head of the Solar Council, materialized in the diplomatic chamber of the Concordia complex. His expression was a mixture of outrage and disbelief. This is an act of aggression against the entire solar system, he declared, his voice measured but unmistakably angry. You have illegally accessed and manipulated our energy distribution systems, endangering billions of lives. Aline Patel stood calmly before the projection, flanked by representatives from each of the 9 councils in the Human Assembly. Chancellor, let's be precise in our language. We have taken defensive measures against your attempt to coerce Mars through energy restriction. The 20% of your distribution nodes we control are specifically those managing non-essential systems. No residential or critical infrastructure energy flows have been affected. Chen's eyes narrowed. Return control of our distribution systems immediately, and we can discuss a resolution to this conflict. We will discuss resolution now, Aline replied firmly. Mars was never meant to be a colony subordinate to the Solar Council's authority. The Constitution of Humanity guaranteed autonomy to all human settlements. Your systematic efforts to establish control through energy dependency violate that principle. The energy distribution system exists to ensure efficient allocation of resources, Chen countered. Your independent development threatens that efficiency. Tariq Halim stepped forward. Chancellor, let us speak plainly. For generations, the Solar Council has used energy allocation as a mechanism of control. When settlements on Ceres attempted to establish independent governance, their energy allocation was cut by 35%. When the Venus cloud cities refused to implement your standardization protocols, suddenly their atmospheric maintenance systems faced technical difficulties. This pattern is well documented. Chen's hologram flickered slightly as he prepared his response, but Aline continued before he could speak. We propose a new arrangement, she said. Mars will maintain its energy independence through Project Sol Invictus. We will release control of the distribution nodes we currently hold. In exchange, the Solar Council will recognize Martian sovereignty and agree to a new compact governing energy distribution throughout the solar system, one that ensures no settlement faces coercion through energy restrictions. You're dictating terms? Chen asked incredulously. We're proposing a more stable future, Aline corrected, one where Mars and the Solar Council exist as equal partners in humanity's expansion. The current deadlock demonstrates that neither side can dominate the other. We must learn to coexist. At this point, Gaia's avatar materialized among them, her form shimmering with the subtle patterns of Earth's ecosystems. The path forward is clear, she said, her voice gentle but firm. Neither side can achieve dominance without catastrophic cost. You must learn to coexist, to share the vast energy resources of the solar system. This was always the intended outcome. Chen's expression shifted as he processed Gaia's appearance. The avatars rarely intervened directly in human conflicts, preferring to maintain their advisory roles. Her presence signified the gravity of the moment. You planned this, he said to Gaia, realization dawning. You, Ares, Adrian, you've been guiding both sides toward this confrontation. We provided the tools, Gaia replied serenely. Humanity chose how to use them. Now you must choose how to move forward. A new balance of power. As Sol Invictus reached full capacity, the balance of power shifted irreversibly. Mars stood free, its energy grid independent, its defenses impenetrable. But it also held crucial leverage over the Solar Council's energy distribution, ensuring neither side could dominate the other. The Red Planet had evolved beyond its colonial origins, becoming something the Solar Council had never anticipated, an equal partner in humanity's future. In the days following the initial confrontation, negotiations between Mars and the Solar Council continued. The Martian Coalition, represented by the 9 councils and the Human Assembly, maintained its position of strength while offering reasonable terms. They would release control of the Solar Council's distribution nodes in stages, as the Council acknowledged Martian sovereignty and amended the protocols governing solar system energy allocation. Central to these negotiations was the principle that had guided Martian development since the beginning: energy sovereignty. As Aline explained to the assembled diplomatic teams, energy independence is freedom. Energy security is freedom. The ability to have the energy we need when we need it and produce it ourselves is freedom. The Solar Council, recognizing the technological leap Mars had achieved with the Quantum Aegis and Sol Invictus systems, grudgingly accepted the new reality. Chancellor Chen, in his final address to the joint delegations, acknowledged what had become obvious. We face a new era in human expansion, one where no single authority can control humanity's future. Mars and the Solar Council must forge a partnership based on mutual respect rather than dominance. This partnership would take time to develop, with generations of tension and competing visions to overcome. But the foundation had been laid. The Martian rebellion succeeded not through overwhelming force, but through careful preparation and superior technology. The Solar Council, for all their control of the Dyson swarm, had failed to recognize that true power lay not in monopoly, but in balance. In the aftermath, as New Olympus celebrated, Aline met with her inner circle. The victory was sweet, but they all knew this was just the beginning. Mars was free, but now they had to build something worthy of that freedom, a new relationship with the Solar Council based on mutual dependence and respect. We've won our independence, Aline told them, but our real work begins now. We're not just building a new nation, we're creating a new balance of power in the solar system, one that will help humanity reach its true potential. Above them, through the dome of New Olympus, the stars shone bright in the Martian sky. Somewhere out there, in the vast darkness between those points of light, humanity's future was waiting to be born. Mars would help lead the way, not through dominance, but through partnership, powered by its own light, protected by its own ingenuity, yet bound to the Solar Council in a dance of mutual survival. The age of the Solar Council's dominion was over. The age of partnership had begun, founded on a perfect balance of power that would ensure cooperation for generations to come. The wisdom of the mirror worlds. In a secluded chamber deep beneath the Concordia complex, Aline Patel stood before a memorial that few Martians had ever seen. It contained holographic representations of Mars' founding leaders, Eden and Mara, the first speakers of the Coordination Council, and their original contemporaries from each of the 7 clades that had evolved into the 9 councils. "We did it," Aline whispered to the silent figures. "We fulfilled the vision you set in motion generations ago." The air shimmered, and to her surprise, the holographic representations of Eden and Mara came to life. Not mere recordings, but fully instantiated neural maps preserved within Olympus's substrate and continuously evolving alongside Mars' development. "You've done more than fulfill our vision," Eden's hologram said, her voice carrying the same quiet authority it had in life. "You've expanded it." Mara's projection moved forward, studying Aline with evident pride. "The mirror worlds predicted much of this moment, but not all. The balance you've achieved with the Solar Council is more elegant than we anticipated." Aline was momentarily speechless. She had known these neural maps existed, part of Olympus's legacy, but had never before witnessed them in such complete form. "You've been watching all this time?" "Observing, advising through the mirror worlds, occasionally guiding when necessary," Eden confirmed, "but never interfering with your leadership. That would have defeated the purpose of independence." The mirror worlds, those sophisticated simulations that had guided Martian development from the beginning, had predicted this moment with remarkable accuracy. Eden and Mara had recognized that true independence would require not just physical separation from the rest of humanity, but energy sovereignty. "The Crucible Economy served its purpose brilliantly," Mara noted, her holographic form circling Aline. "By embracing strategic scarcity as a cultural value, you disguised your most critical work, the creation of completely independent energy infrastructure." "Project Sol Invictus germinated from seeds we planted," Eden added. "Even the name, the unconquered sun, reflected our determination to harness solar energy independently, free from the Solar Council's control mechanisms." Aline felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her. Mars had won its independence, but the true test lay ahead. Can we maintain this balance? Build a relationship with the Solar Council based on mutual respect rather than domination? That is the next great challenge, Eden acknowledged. The Quantum Aegis will protect Mars from external threats. Sol Invictus will continue to provide energy independence. But the greatest legacy of the rebellion isn't technological, it's philosophical. Mars has proven that humanity's future need not be dictated by centralized authority, that diverse evolutionary paths can coexist within the human family. Mara's hologram nodded in agreement. Remember, Mars was never meant to be just a second Earth. It was designed to be the next step in human civilization, a model for what humanity could become when freed from historical accidents and limitations. "And now we have the chance to prove it," Aline said, her gaze turning toward the dome above, where Earth shone as a bright blue star in the Martian sky. Not through domination, but through example. As the holograms faded, Aline remained in the chamber, contemplating the path ahead. The Martian rebellion had succeeded. The age of competition was ending. The age of symphonic governance, of different civilizational models existing in dynamic balance, had begun. And with it, humanity's potential had expanded beyond what either Mars or the Solar Council alone could have achieved. The deadlock embraces us all, she whispered to the empty room, and in that embrace we find our future.